Part 76. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 751. The heroes of the Chimera Ant Crusade, with the awareness of sacrificing their lives, came to the site of the Rose explosion, but they only saw Xiaoming's 7 shadow clone. The Chimera Ants had long disappeared. Not to mention the Ant King, even Yuppie and Aolyapfu, who were supposed to be here, did not show up. Mo Lao's heart sank at that time, and he thought of the worst result. Damn. Is it because the Ant King is dead that these two have gone crazy? Now I don't know which human country they are running to wreak havoc in. Brother, even you can't hold them back. It's so, well, it's not your fault. Which direction are they going? I have to contact the Hunter Association quickly. Although I don't know why Yuppie and the others didn't vent their anger on me first, after all, the 3 of them are also responsible for the death of the Ant King. But now the most important thing is to figure out the situation. Nikolu and Xiu Tuo's faces were also very bad. I didn't expect that after 13 moves, the final result was still like this. The respectable President Netero was also involved. What the hell is going on? Chameleon Chimera Ant Mir 1 was not so depressed. This situation seemed to indicate that the Ant King was dead, and Mo Lao's enemy was just the Ant King. Although he was also worried about humans, Mir 1 was still very excited about his revenge. His figure was looming, and it seemed that his invisibility ability was about to be upgraded. We can't blame them for drawing too hasty conclusions. This is the result of great psychological pressure. On the way here, they kept discussing and thinking about various possibilities. This situation now just fits one of them. So they easily misunderstood. And no matter what, they couldn't guess that the 3 top masters, the Ant King, Yuppie, and Pufu, would be dealt with by the foreign aid brother. This possibility has not been imagined. You know, they even daydreamed that Rose only killed the Ant King and President Netero found a way to survive. LLL Omega, alas, humans always have to have some dreams, just in case they come true. Looking at their life energy, Xiaoming's shadow clone smiled and waved his hands repeatedly. Everyone, don't worry, the matter is over. I am no longer a threat to Tianfa Si, the Ant King and his guards. The shadow clone raised his right hand solemnly and pointed 4 fingers. Really, the 4 people said in unison. There were mixed emotions such as surprise, suspicion, worry, and expectation in their tone. The voices all changed. This is not a joke. Xiu Tuo's tongue was a little bit unusable. How to convince them is indeed a problem. Xiaoming couldn't produce any evidence, so he had to swear. Anyway, as long as the Ant King never appears again, they can only accept this ending. However, the clone couldn't stand their questioning, so after announcing the news that the Ant King is dead, burn paper if you have something to do, this clone was cancelled by Xiaoming. The mess of the Dongguochuo Republic was handed over to Mo Lao and his men. Xiaoming also took back the magic of the puppets and the undead army, and returned to dust. The zombies and plants were taken back by Xiaolu. A large number of props were lost in this battle, which made her feel distressed. She stretched out 7 or 8 vines, entangled Xiaoming's body and acted like a spoiled child, asking Xiaoming to compensate her losses. When she just followed him, she was so obedient, but now she has learned bad things. Xiaoming had no way to deal with her and could only give in. Xiaoming and Mo Lao, the master and apprentice, did not know that after the news that the Ant King was settled was passed back, dozens of large airships soon arrived at the palace. He planned to take advantage of the situation and take away the 1,000 or so Chimera Ant eggs. As a result, he came up empty-handed, and the eggs were taken away by Xiaoming early. At this moment, they are still piled up in Guangmingding. Before, Xiaoming easily subdued about 200 eggs, but later the battle was more intense, and Xiaoming could not be distracted. Now, the remaining 800 Chimera ant eggs are also one of the bargaining chips. They can't be disposed of casually. So how did Xiaoming deal with the Chimera ant? In fact, the biggest contributor to dealing with the Chimera ant was not Xiaoming, but Xiaomei. It is said that this decisive battle would become such a tense situation, and it was entirely caused by Xiaomei's injury. Otherwise, Netero would not even get a one-on-one chance. Even if he detonated the rose in his body, the three guards would use their bodies to shield the king. It is hard to say whether the three guards will live or die, but Miru M will definitely not die. The result will still be a disaster. In the end, it was only Xiaomei who really defeated the Chimera ant. According to the original work, after the rose exploded, Yuppie and Pufu used their own essence to revive the Ant King. The resurrected Ant King is even more powerful. It's just that the three ants absorbed too much toxins in the rose smoke, and they were poisoned to death one by one. In this reincarnation world, the Ant King was indeed poisoned. But the poisoning was not serious and not fatal. Because his body stayed in the smoke for a short time this time, the toxins absorbed were minimal. We know that the Insect King has the ability to release the Mars virus. He is an expert in this area. The Martian virus contains the bacterial virus ability of the Martian alien character Xiaohong, and also integrates the T-virus in the biochemical crisis. Its power is really not comparable to the rose toxin. So Xiaoming didn't take it to heart at all about the toxins in the Ant King's body. The poison was detoxified at the same time as the treatment. I have no intention of using this as a bargaining chip. The concept in Xiaoming's mind is, how could Chimera ants be afraid of poison? This is not worth mentioning at all. He doesn't understand that the reason why insect humans are not afraid of toxins is because of the genes of the insect race and aliens. Chimeric ants are actually not very good at resisting poison. In addition, this time Yuppie and Pufu did not enter the smoke at all. It is even less likely to be poisoned. In the original work, the three of them were poisoned to death because the poison was too deep. It was also the fault of these two fools, Yuppie and Pufu. They found the remains of the Ant King in the smoke and started treatment directly on the spot. Therefore, the King Ant recovered his body in the smoke full of toxins. During the growth process, he also absorbed a large amount of toxins into his body. The virus penetrates deep into the bone marrow. After selflessly devoting the essence of their bodies, Yuppie and Pufu were left with bodies the size of a baby's fist. His strength has also been reduced to a terrible level, and he is so weak that he cannot resist the poison at all. As the saying goes, you will not survive if you do it yourself. In the original work, none of these three escaped the fate of being poisoned. The Ant King also dragged the wheat into trouble and was poisoned together. Of course, there is true love between the two. The Ant King did not deceive Xiaomei and directly informed him about the toxin. With a mortal body, Xiao Xiao didn't mind at all even though he knew he was going to die, and he willingly went to hell with the Ant King. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 752. With Xiaomei as a bridge, also an invisible hostage, the Ant King and the two guards quickly reached a consensus with Xiaoming. After Pufu's clone entered Guangmingding, Yuppie felt as if he was ignored. So he turned most of his cells into liquid in advance and handed them over to Pufu's body for care. His own strength was reduced to the level of a B-level division commander. There was no way. Guangmingding was already struggling to carry an A-level Zhangzhong. If A-level Yuppie entered again, Guangmingding would definitely collapse. Besides, the complete Yuppie was too strong. Xiaoming didn't dare to open the door to thieves. So he could only let Yuppie down. As a result, when his strength was reduced to the level of a division commander, the fat baby Poklin who had been following him suddenly showed his power. This is Nakuru's special mind ability. The sky doesn't know that I am the only one who suffers. Yuppie really took a lot of heavy punches from Nakuru in the battle. He owed a lot of debts. Under the cooperation and cover of Mo Lao, Xiaochuo, Mir Wang, Xiaoming, and Zhangzhong, this ability has been working and calculating interest. Unfortunately, even at the moment when the rose exploded, the high-interest loans owed by Yuppie were far from enough to bankrupt him. This guy's telekinesis was too abnormal. Because Yuppie failed to force Nicolo to remove his ability, the fat baby Poketlin has been with him all the time. However, at this time, the distance between Yuppie and Nicolo was too far, and the fat baby no longer continued to calculate the interest. At this moment, when Yuppie automatically gave up his own cells, his total telekinesis was also decreasing wildly, and he finally went bankrupt because he could not repay the high-interest loans. Poketlin disappeared, and the telekinetic beast debt collector appeared, and Yuppie was forced into a state of extinction for 30 days. During this period, he could no longer use telekinesis. Although his body was still very strong, he could no longer pose a threat. Xiaoming naturally took him into Guangmingding with confidence. It was equivalent to having one more bargaining chip in his hand. Also because of the space carrying capacity, Xiaoming cannot fully restore Miru M's health now, and must keep him in a weak state. The Ant King doesn't care, as long as he can play chess with Xiaomei, other things will be fine. This king is developing in the direction of a good family man. Xiaoming imagined the scene of Miru M wearing an apron and cooking for Xiaomei. A chill ran through my body, a bit like a horror thriller. As the last bargaining chip of the Chimera Ant clan, Al Yapufu's body resolutely stayed in the outside world, and also out of Xiaoming's monitoring. Waiting for the moment when Xiaoming and the Ant King reached an agreement in Guangmingding. With the guarantee from the Ant King, there is no need to worry about him doing anything. To be honest, negotiating with the Ant King is much simpler and more direct than bargaining with Pufu. Pufu is too smart and always wants to gain more benefits for the Chimera Ants. This is the duty of a military advisor or counselor. Pufu happens to be in this position. Miru M, as the king, has no interest in such petty manipulation. If the biggest principle is decided, everything will be okay. For example, the first agreement is to exchange the life essence for the health of the Ant King. The life essence is donated by Yuppie and Pufu. If Pufu comes to negotiate, although it is roughly 20% plus 50%, Xiaoming can get half. But as long as there is an opportunity and an excuse, Pufu will definitely try to increase the share of the Chimera Ants. He will argue with Xiaoming 1% 1%. Not for himself, but for the Ant King to get more. Now that the Ant King is negotiating, there will be no such nonsense. Half for each person, simple and clear. The second agreement is that the Chimera Ants led by the Ant King will no longer be enemies with the humans in this world. The exchange condition is that Xiaoming must find a suitable place for the Chimera Ants to survive within 30 days. If the Chimera Ants stay in the hunter world, they will definitely conflict with humans. Needless to say, Xiaoming plans to smuggle the Ant King and 3 others to another reincarnation world. Change the map. In fact, he was a little ignorant and had no idea of the grandeur of the hunter world. The so-called living area of humans is actually only a small part of the entire world. Outside the human world, there is also a huge dark continent. That is the home of the Chimera Ants. In a while, humans will explore the dark continent. Then the problem will be solved by letting the Chimera Ants take a boat to the sea. But Xiaoming didn't know this part of the plot. So he planned to take the Chimera Ants to experience the wonders of the infinite reincarnation world. This is good, Miru M just wants to see what other worlds are like. The third agreement is about the 1000 Chimera Ant eggs. There is not much controversy in this regard. Whether it is Xiaoming or the Ant King, it is not difficult to create an army of this quantity and quality. It is not worth it to be embarrassed for this. In theory, these insect eggs are Xiaoming's spoils of war. But since the Chimera Ants are still powerful, Xiaoming can't take them all for himself. Half of them were returned to the Ant King. The other half was sealed with a barrier in the bright summit. I will unblock it after I return to the real world. Xiao Ming wanted to use the power of the chimera ants to expand his own insect-human army. Chimera ants and insect humans are too close, so it is a piece of cake to subdue or transform them. In this way, all the problems were basically settled. It didn't take long at all. The Ant King even played chess with Xiao Mai while negotiating. He was really bold. Miruem expressed his full trust in Xiao Ming. As soon as the negotiation ended, he contacted Pufu, who was away. Pufu gave up a lot of life essence, reduced his own strength to be level, and entered the bright summit to meet. At this time, if Xiao Ming turned against him, the Ant King and others would probably not be his opponents. I don't know where the Ant King got so much confidence, and he actually believed in Xiao Ming so much. Maybe the Ant King gained the ability to see through people's hearts after dying once. Or maybe it was some other reason. In short, the Ant King believed that Xiao Ming would not break the contract. Xiao Ming did not live up to his trust. He left the hunter world as soon as possible. This was only the second day after the decisive battle in Dongguodo. Xiao Ming missed all the exciting dramas such as the election of the president of the Hunter Association, the internal struggle of the Zaldik family, and the trip to the Dark Continent. Without the Ant King, the other surviving chimera ants each started a different career. Many chimera ants gradually recovered their memories and emotions when they were humans. As time passed, human emotions had a deeper and deeper impact on chimera ants. Most of the more brutal ones had died in Dongguodo. Some of those who are in a more peaceful mood have integrated into human society in their own way. You have to know that the hunter world is a world where humans and monsters can coexist. Those chimera ants with average strength are the same as monsters in the eyes of humans. Moreover, chimera ants are actually more like humans than monsters, and are more easily influenced and accepted by humans when getting along with them. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 753. Because he had to find a suitable living place for the Chimera Ant King and his men within 30 days, Xiao Ming had to leave the world of Hunter early. The time pressure is still very tight. You must know that through the treasure trap Dragon Bracer, Xiao Ming can indeed extend his stay in any world at will, but he cannot shorten it at will. Treasures do not have this function. In a random mission world, the mission time given by the space is usually 1 or 2 weeks, maybe 1 or 2 months, or even in unlucky cases, it might be 1 or 2 years. Of course, the situation in 1 or 2 years is very special, and the mission world may be affected in unpredictable ways. For example, the group of Sanren reincarnators that I met in Meteor Street before, they stayed in the Hunter world for about a year because of Xiao Ming's influence. Normally, Xiao Ming only has 3 or 5 opportunities to use the random world invitation, and it will expire in 30 days. Among the few choices, it is not easy to find a world suitable for chimera ants. We must hurry up. Leaving early is inevitable. As a result, Xiao Ming missed a lot of plots in Hunter world and left a lot of regrets. For example, the Ant King Miruem actually has a twin sister who was born with some malnutrition. Now it is raised by Koldo and other chimera ants together with the Hunter Association. It will later be discovered that this sister is the reincarnation of Kate's soul. It's interesting that Kate was reincarnated without being eaten by the chimera ant queen. Of course, the most likely possibility is that Kate's special telekinesis ability, absolute death resistance, came into play. Alas, if I had known that Kate would never die, Xiaoja probably wouldn't have to take such extreme measures. He even made Xiaoja himself look like that. Catwoman Nephibit was even more unlucky, being beaten to death by Gon. As an enemy of mankind, Catwoman was not unjustly killed. However, Gon killed Catwoman entirely for personal grudges. In the original work, Xiaja had let go of the Chimera ants that had attacked him several times. Xiaja once spared a murderous human being like the bomb demon. It can be said that Xiaja's views on good and evil are completely based on his personal likes and dislikes. In terms of kindness, Gon is even far inferior to Killua, who comes from a family of killers. What I regret about Hunter World is that in addition to missing the plot, there are also the various magical telekinesis abilities. If he had time, Xiao Ming originally planned to learn, simulate, a few more. Mo Lao's purple smoke machine troop can attack, defend, and assist. It is versatile and can handle most battles. Although it is not particularly necessary for Xiao Ming, he is really willing to learn it. On the surface, Nobu's fourth-dimensional apartment seems to overlap with Guangmingding's space capabilities. But Xiao Ming's intuition is that if he can learn how to use it, he will probably be able to combine with the two swords of Guangmingding and complement each other. Nicolo's "I don't know in the sky but I am the only one who loses" is even more suitable for Xiao Ming, a guy who has super strong telepathy and can replenish it endlessly. The characteristic of this ability is that as long as the debt is still being calculated, neither party will cause harm to the other. All attacks are calculated as debt until the enemy pays off the loan shark or goes bankrupt. What a harmonious ability this is. Xiu Tuo's dark hotel is even more interesting, locking the enemy's body parts in the hotel. Once Shuto no longer uses his telekinesis to maintain the hotel, that part of his body will be returned to the enemy. It does not harm the opponent, but also reduces the opponent's combat effectiveness. It is also a very gentle ability. Xiao Ming covets these tricks. It would be great if he could learn them. Regarding special abilities, Xiao Ming prefers these types of abilities that are more fun. Being strong or not is not his focus. For example, the abilities of several Hakka families to defeat enemies are very powerful, but they are not particularly attractive to Xiao Ming. Jinyo's Dragon Head Opera can fly people, and Dragon Star Cluster also has group attack capabilities, but Xiao Ming is not lacking in these two things. Shiba can attack with energy light balls, but Ming himself can also use the Raise-Non and Otama Raise-Non. Killua's ability to convert mind power into electricity and store electricity in his body. Fairly interesting. However, converting energy into each other is Xiao Ming's specialty. Much more advanced than Killua. Killua's super speed skill is very good and shines in the battle with Yuppie. However, Xiao Ming himself also has race against time, and the acceleration effect may be better. Don't envy this. Well, to be honest, Xiao Ming is actually quite interested in Killua's speed. But his intuition told him that speed was a skill that only a genius like Killua could use. With Xiao Ming's wisdom, he probably wouldn't be able to learn it. Speechless, depressed. Due to his outstanding performance in the Hunter world, his impact is not small. After returning to the settlement space, Xiao Ming received a lot of energy rewards. The 3 energy trees have all grown. The silver ones are 3.9 meters, the green ones are 5.6 meters, and the yellow ones are 2.8 meters. Unfortunately, the blue cactus remained motionless. In the next 20 days, Xiao Ming used 3 random world invitations and took the Chimera ants to sneak into many worlds. It's a pity that there is no world that can satisfy the Ant King. However, Miryuame and the others' confidence in Xiao Ming has increased a lot. This ability to travel across the world is so interesting. Even if it exceeds 30 days, the Ant King doesn't think it matters. Just treat it as a trip at public expense. These days, Xiao Ming often chats with the Ant King and Pui Uppy, criticizing the performance of the Chimera ants in the Hunter world. At first, Xiao Ming didn't want to talk about this topic, but Miryuame took the initiative to bring it up. Before he dueled with President Netero, he had expressed his goodwill towards humans, and also pointed out the extremely unfair social phenomena within humans. In Xiaomei, he realized the true meaning of power. It is used to protect those who are weak but have reasons to live, and it is never to oppress losers. The Ant King is willing to build a more fair society, at least 100 times fairer than the current human society. Netero's kung fu is also very appreciated by the Ant King. For the sake of the president, he will also allow humans to have a permanent residence. Other preferential conditions can also be considered. Miru M feels that his offer is good enough. Humans under his management will definitely not have as much exploitation and oppression as in the current society. Many humans have the idea of human supremacy. Society must be ruled by humans. I would rather be exploited and oppressed by a fellow species than be ruled by a different species. No matter how fair the society established by that different species is. The Ant King was very surprised, knowing that the other party is of the same species, but still oppressing and exploiting them crazily. Isn't this behavior more shameful? Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 754. Xiaoming himself is neither a sociologist nor a philosopher, so he has no confidence to discuss topics such as racial survival. So Xiaoming first pointed out the issue of victory and defeat between humans and chimera ants. Miru M, don't you realize that you have been on the wrong path since the beginning? What? Why do you think so? The Ant King was very unconvinced. There is a saying in our human art of war that knowing yourself and the enemy will ensure victory in 100 battles. That is to say, you should understand yourself and your opponent. When you were just born, you had no understanding of the strength comparison between chimera ants and humans, as well as the advantages and disadvantages. It would be strange if you didn't fail in the end, Xiaoming said very bluntly. After hearing this, Yuppie was not happy and shouted, "What did you say? It's obvious that we are stronger. Even if it's just me and Pufu, we are enough to kill all of you weaklings." Haha, Xiaoming was disdainful of arguing with this brainless person and directly pointed out the core problem. This rose bomb is a technological product, and humans have plenty of it. How many bombs do you think you and Pufu can survive? This thing is similar to the atomic bomb in the Pangustar world. Xiaoming would never think that Netero used the last one. After hearing this, Yuppie was speechless for a moment. This is a bomb that can kill the Ant King. He and Pufu tied together can't survive an explosion. If they are separated, it is possible to consume one more bomb. Pufu seemed to have an idea and said, "You mean we shouldn't expose our existence at the beginning?" Xiaoming glanced at Pufu, smiled and said, "Yes, you don't know how powerful humans are, so you occupy the territory carelessly. This is a living target. If President Netero didn't want to fight one-on-one, humans could have used dozens of roses to completely eliminate you from the beginning." The Ant King suddenly thought, this bomb is powerful, but it is not unstoppable. Just develop a strong enough defense ability. This is not difficult. Xiaoming hit with both palms, yes, it's not difficult at all. As long as you fully develop your own strength. But why didn't you do this? This is something Xiaoming is speechless about. The explosive power of the rose bomb is indeed not to be underestimated, but it is not impossible to deal with it. Xiaoming can use the wormhole to escape in advance, no problem. Hiding in Guangmingding or Kunlun will not be blown up. Even if he resists, with various defensive skills, that power will not kill any Xiaoming, at most he will be seriously injured. You should know that Xiaoming asked himself that his strength could only tie with the guards, and the gap with the Ant King was very huge. It stands to reason that if these three were well prepared, they would definitely be able to take on the attacks that they could withstand. However, they were completely unprepared. The Ant King and the two guards were also a little depressed. Who knew that you humans had such a powerful bomb? However, their thinking proved Xiaoming's first argument, that they did not know themselves well enough. The Chimera ants top brass, that is, the three of them plus the dead Catwoman, knew almost nothing about humans. If they had done more research and learned that humans had such a powerful weapon, with Pufu's mind, how could they not prepare in advance? By analogy, they soon thought of other similar problems. For example, they really shouldn't have exposed their existence at the beginning. Hiding and collecting intelligence about the enemy first is the most important thing to do. Facing an unknown world, how can you be so careless? It's simply too arrogant. At the same time, the Chimera ants should also secretly accumulate strength and expand their army. If the Ant King had tens of thousands of Chimera ant soldiers under his command in this decisive battle, and all of them had developed certain abilities of mind, the expeditionary force might not be able to get close to Miru M, let alone blow him up. In addition, they did not try their best to develop their own abilities. Before the decisive battle, the Ant King actually played chess in the palace for several days. Playing chess is not completely useless, at least it sublimates the spirit of the Ant King. But it also wastes precious time. Wouldn't it be better if this time was used to develop some important abilities? For example, the defense ability that can withstand the rose bomb, the ability to resist toxins, and the ability to eliminate mind, and so on. In a word, the foundation of the Chimera ants is too poor. Without any accumulation, they thought they were invincible. Then they put themselves in the open with great fanfare. They were simply courting death. Haven't you heard of no zo no die why you try? This failure was entirely the fault of the Chimera ants. Such an answer was in front of them, and both the extremely talented Ant King and the intelligent Pufa were a little bit unable to accept it. They were all people who thought highly of themselves, and suddenly found that they were so unreliable in doing things, like children, with flaws everywhere. This was a slap in the face. In terms of strength, the Chimera ants were not the opponents of humans. They were still thinking about how to rule humans and how to allow humans to survive. It was simply a joke. Before considering such things, you must first beat them. To be honest, the arrogance of Chimera ants is actually inherited from human genes. In the process of development, humans are actually just as arrogant. They always find ways to elevate themselves and belittle others. God created humans in His own image. Humans are the spirit of all things, the earth is in the center, and the sun, moon, and stars revolve around us. We are the celestial empire, the emperor is the son of God, and other races are barbarians, people of a certain skin color are God's people, and other skin colors are inferior species. All these are manifestations of human shallowness, ignorance, and arrogance. Of course, after turning this page, they still talked about things like a fair society. The various drawbacks of human society should not be turned a blind eye. In this regard, Xiaoming pointed out that even if Miru M can think of himself as a relatively fair king, but he must be biased towards the Chimera ants. Although the top leaders are okay, most of the low-level soldiers of the Chimera ants are bloodthirsty guys. There is not much difference between their bullying of humans and bullying within human society. Can Miru M control the entire Chimera ant colony? This is not something that can be solved simply by force. Besides, when Miru M was in power, he might be kinder to humans. What about after he died? Will the next king be like this? What will humans do when the Chimera ants split? What will humans do when a stronger foreign enemy comes? If these problems are not solved, Miru M's rule will be nothing but a mirage. In the end, it may just be a replica of the Qing dynasty replacing the Ming dynasty. The strong among humans will never simply succumb to the Chimera ants. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 755. Xiaoming cannot pretend to turn a blind eye to the various drawbacks and problems of human society. Even though his position is more inclined to humans, he does not have the idea that humans are supreme. Especially after Xiaoming got to know the Zerg and Protoss, he felt that their social structure was more fair in comparison. However, Xiaoming is neither a sociologist nor a reformer. He will not take saving humanity as his responsibility. He is not qualified and has no interest in prescribing a prescription for human society. Each race has its own different situation. Miru M is not as good as Xiao Ming in this regard, but these two cobblers are having a lively discussion. The two guards, Yuppie and Pufu, have basically no interest in the topic of building a more fair and reasonable society. However, since the Ant King is interested, Pufu will help with the advice and come up with some bad ideas. Here, Xiao Ming once again took out the advanced magic weapon, the Far Island Strange People series of books. Most people are not very interested in this kind of book. At most, they just watch the excitement and have fun. Those who will study the contents of the book carefully are definitely rare. Xiao Ming himself is the type who just watches the fun. However, for a king like Miru M, this set of books is quite meaningful. In addition, Xiao Ming told the Ant King about the situation of the Protoss and Zerg that he knew. Of course, he also mentioned what he had done in the worlds of Mars Alien and my date with a zombie too. In the Martian alien world, Xiao Ming only built a not-so-large social group from scratch, and the race was not human, which could only be considered a special case. The world of Zombie Date 2 is actually the real court of Wang Zhenzhen and Situ Fenrin, which changed the social structure of humans after the apocalypse. Xiao Ming did not try to reform the society. At that time, Xiao Ming was only concerned with saving people. And no matter which world, Xiao Ming stayed for a few years and left, and did not see the subsequent development of these two worlds. In the end, whether they succeeded or failed is unknown. I hope this half-baked experience will help the Ant King. In this way, everyone randomly searched for a suitable world while chatting about these trivial matters, and time passed quickly. In addition, no matter how busy the Ant King is, he can't avoid military ceremony with Xiaomei every day. They are not people who know how to hide their emotions, and they are so sweet and cuddly that they really spread a lot of dog food. Pufu and Yuppie don't care, and Xiao Ming's beasts and undeads don't care either. As a result, all this dog food was stuffed into the stomach of Xiao Ming, a single dog over 50 years old. There are also two older female ghosts and tree demons, Xiaohong and Xiaolu, who are unlucky. Seeing that 27 or 8 days have passed, this is the last random world. After such a long time of communication with Xiao Ming, Miru M actually didn't care about the 30-day deadline. Or he thought that the later the better, he could see more exciting worlds. There was a reason for setting this deadline to 30 days. Because Nikolu's ability took effect, Yuppie was forced into the absolute state at that time. His strength was suppressed. After more than 20 days of rest, eating and drinking well, he actually recovered a lot. Once the 30 days are up and the absolute state is lifted, it is certain that he will immediately return to the A-level state. Then Guangmingding will not be able to bear it. So it is necessary to help the Chimera Ant find a new world before he recovers. This time, Yin Xiaoming landed in a dark place. It felt very strange here. It was not a complete world, but a place like a passage. Just when he was at a loss, a shout came from the side, "Hey, don't block the middle of the road. The human world on the left, the demon world on the right, hurry up. Can't you see the monster behind? The human world, the demon world, the monster?" These words caught Xiaoming's attention. He immediately released the circle. Sure enough, he found that he was in a cave, but this cave was not opened in that mountain, but opened between the two worlds, and there was a barrier. There was indeed a short humanoid monster behind Xiaoming, carrying a sword behind him, with a third eye on his forehead, and he looked quite handsome. Even if Xiaoming looked at him, he didn't say anything, just put on a cold and cool look. Although Xiaoming was not afraid of this D-level monster, he was in the wrong for blocking the way. He moved his body to the side and made way. He watched 7 or 8 monsters passing by in a line, all heading from the demon world to the human world. The last monster kindly reminded Xiaoming, "Brother, decide which way to go as soon as possible. The Spirit World Inspection Team might come in a little while. Spirit World Inspection Team, Xiaoming repeated suspiciously. He was thinking, in addition to the demon world in the human world, there is another spirit world. Yin Chui Si listened. The monster did not stop, and seemed to be a little afraid of the so-called Spirit World Inspection Team. He said as he walked. They are very powerful. The inspection team specializes in catching those of us who sneak across the border. Even the A-level monsters are no match for them. You'd better run. By the way, the demon world is very dangerous. If you want to listen to me, go to the human world. In a blink of an eye, the monster's figure gradually disappeared with the sound. Xiaoming checked the introduction given by the reincarnation space. The name of this world is Yu Hakusho. What a strange name. Then the Ant King, Pufu, and Yuppie were released. Brother Ant King, take a look at that, this world. Just tell me if it's okay. If you're still not satisfied, I'll admit it and waste my treasure to send you to journey to the west, you decide. In the end, a world of reincarnation that he had never heard of was revealed, and Xiaoming did not withdraw. But since there is talk about the human world and the demonic world here, it is estimated that the strength should not be low. There seems to be nothing wrong with chimera ants making their home here. Facing the Ant King, Xiaoming is more relaxed. Except for source energy matters, there is no need to hide most things. It's not because the Ant King is under his control, it's because with the Ant King's arrogant character, even if he knows Xiaoming's secret, he doesn't bother to use it. Worthy of being a true king. We talked a lot these days. Xiaoming mentioned the world of Journey to the West, and the Ant King wanted to go and meet the powerful people in it. Xiaoming was so frightened that he quickly dissuaded him, brother, it is a world full of gods and Buddhas. Although you are very powerful, you are just a dishonorable person wherever you go. If you are lucky, you can become the king of the mountain and become a monster. If you are not lucky, you may be captured by some god and used as a mount. Even if you are unlucky, it is not impossible to be beaten to death by Brother Monkey on the way to the west. That's not how challenging yourself works. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 756. No matter how much the Ant King yearns for the world of Journey to the West, he also knows that it is impossible to really go there. Even if his subordinates don't agree, he can't take such a big risk for the sake of wheat. The world of Yu Hakusho feels pretty good. This barrier alone is extraordinary. It shows that there must be strong people in this world. Then here it is. But MaleProtagonist made his own request. He said that the chimera ants can stay in this world, but Xiaoming must also lock his private world here. What MaleProtagonist is most interested in is actually what Xiaoming calls the real world. In his opinion, Xiaoming is already very powerful, and he is actually still fearful in the real world. This made the Ant King very interested in the real world. I really want to come and see how powerful there is here, which can intimidate Xiaoming. In reality, there are indeed powerful masters who can intimidate them. For example, S-level Zhang Shizu is not unique. But if Xiaoming lives a more arrogant life, society will accept it. It's okay if it's not too much. Xiaoming's low profile is more due to his own choice. The senior otaku really has no arrogant desires. Is it okay for the Ant King to come to Pangu planet? Not to mention Pangu Star, even if the Ant King goes to the 3-star systems of Yan and Huang, big things will definitely happen. Xiaoming refused without even thinking about it. It seems that now the Ant King has found another way. Since you can't stay in the real world permanently, it's okay to open a back door for others and come over occasionally to visit, right? This matter was not easy, but MaleProtagonist still found a way. Xiaoming previously obtained the best treasure world chain. You can lock a reincarnation world as Xiaoming's private world. The Ant King thought that the world he chose for the Chimera ants could become Xiaoming's private world. In this way, Xiaoming will definitely come often, and he will have the opportunity to enter and exit the real world. As long as he doesn't enter human society, Xiaoming won't be too repelled by it. Of course, in order to achieve this goal, MaleProtagonist must first reassure Xiaoming. As a result, an alliance was formed between the Chimera ant community and the forces represented by Xiaoming. MaleProtagonist promised that unless Xiaoming allows it, the Chimera ants will never invade a world dominated or ruled by humans. Of course, the right to self-defense must still be retained. Having such an ally in the private world can actually help Xiaoming improve his control over the world. It's a win-win situation. And he also suggested that Xiaoming move the Zerg into the private world. Let's conquer the world together. Originally, Xiaoming planned to lead the Zerg to march to the Yandi galaxy. Now that I think about it, it seems that the Ant King's suggestion is better. Speaking of which, Xiaoming actually doesn't want to create a private world that is too powerful, which would be inconvenient to develop. Just make it something fun. But the suggestion MaleProtagonist has put forward now is quite good. Even if we have a falling out with the Chimera ants in the future, the worst possible outcome is that we will no longer have this private world. It should be no problem to return it to Qingxinglu. It will not affect the real world. MaleProtagonist's strength far exceeds that of the 3 A-level guards, and he should be considered an S-level master. Of course, due to his limited strength, Xiaoming's concept of S-class is still very vague. The only thing I know is that people can beat themselves up. Having such a powerful ally is a dream come true. So after thinking carefully for a few seconds, Xiaoming took out the world chain and chose to use it on Yu Yu Hakusho world. There is no rainbow shining through the sun, there is no skyrocketing noise, there is no earthquake, there is no tsunami. Locking a private world is so cool and amazing, but there are no CG scenes. Bad review. Only the reincarnation space reminds Xiaoming, congratulations to Golden VIP No 007. You have locked the entire Yu Yu Hakusho world as your private world. Because the level of this world is too high. If you want to lock in completely, you will lose one VIP privilege. Please confirm. WTF. This is something Xiaoming had never thought of before. Locking the private world also requires losing a VIP privilege. This is probably because the entire world is locked, right? According to Xiaoming's understanding, other reincarnators' world chains cannot lock the entire world. At most, it is to lock an area. So I haven't heard of losing any rights. This is most likely a special setting of the world chain specifically for VIPs. After glancing at the 3 people group of Chimera ants with solemn expressions, Xiaoming gritted his teeth and chose to confirm. The Chimera ants migrated from the world of Hunter x Hunter and finally settled in the world of Yu Yu Hakusho. It was really God's will. The original works of these 2 worlds are the works of the same cartoonist in the parallel world. Let's just say it was a coincidence. After Xiaoming locked the private world, Qianxin Tower transferred some relevant basic settings and restrictions into his mind. When a reincarnator obtains a private world, the time flow rate of this private world is the same as the time flow rate of the reincarnator's real world. In other words, after entering the reincarnation space, the time in the private world is static like the real world. In addition, the plot of the private world will no longer strictly adhere to the plot line of the original work, and the protagonist will no longer be cared for by the reincarnation space. Moreover, the owner of the private world, the reincarnator, is likely to have an impact on the plot line. The reincarnationist can freely enter and exit his private world without any props. There is no limit on the number of times and time. It is equivalent to an alternative Guangmingding or Kunlun. If you bring other people or things into it, you need to use the props of the reincarnation space. The reincarnationist can take out the items or plot characters in the private world. Of course, it costs a certain price, but it is definitely much cheaper than taking things out of the reincarnation world. However, this is the reincarnationist's own product, and the reincarnation space no longer guarantees the quality. It can be said that the private world is the production factory of the reincarnation world products, and the cost is really cheap. The forces that can control the private world better are definitely the top forces. I believe that the big families on Pangostar have their own private worlds. As a gold VIP, Xiaoming is treated better. In his private world, no matter whether he brings in or out, or brings people or things, he does not have to pay. For this private world, Xiaoming paid a lot of price. Originally, after being promoted to a gold VIP, Xiaoming would not be suppressed by the space when entering any reincarnation world. Now this treatment has been cancelled. His strength will be adjusted according to the different reincarnation worlds, just like other reincarnationists. It will no longer be a crushing situation. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 757. The limitation of space on Xiaoming's strength has almost no effect on Xiaoming's adventure in the world with higher energy level. It doesn't matter if he is suppressed a little. The most uncomfortable thing is the reincarnation world without supernatural energy or with very low energy level. Xiaoming's strength will be suppressed to the level of ordinary people. In this world, probably only the outer martial arts can be used, and it is hard to say whether the internal force can be used. However, as a gold VIP, Xiaoming has no pressure of tasks at all, and there is no such thing as mission failure. At most, it is a waste of time. Being restricted from extraordinary abilities, it is nothing more than exploring the world with the attributes of ordinary people, which may be more interesting. What makes Xiaoming feel a little troublesome is the trapped dragon wristband. This treasure was given by the nine-tailed fox in the world of Zombie Agreement 2. Injecting spiritual power into this treasure can produce a space barrier. Let Xiaoming still stay in the reincarnation world after the mission time is over. This can make Xiaoming have more fun and some things he does can be completed. For a world that is not fun, Xiaoming will usually leave immediately, pass through the barrier between the reincarnation worlds, and explore another world. Sometimes, a mission can change dozens of worlds. This requires more stay time. However, once the strength is restricted and the spiritual power cannot be used, this convenient condition will be gone. This is naturally not a big deal, just like making fried rice with eggs, but finding no chopped green onions. It's just a bit regrettable. The real big thing is what to do with the private world of Yu Yu Hakusho. Although it has become Xiaoming's private world. But at the beginning, the reincarnation space gave Xiaoming 30 days of mission time. He still has to spend this time in the world. After 30 days, Xiaoming will automatically return to the real world. This is the standard procedure after locking the private world. Lord and King, let's go to the demon world as soon as possible. The strength of the so-called spirit world inspection team is unknown, but you are not suitable for fighting now, so retreat first. Standing at the entrance of the passage between the human world and the demon world, Huang Xiaoming sincerely suggested to Miru M. Miru M was about to do so when he suddenly saw Yin Xiaoming heading towards the human world. He immediately understood that Xiaoming was going to develop in two directions. If the Insect King was not still in the process of evolution, he might have even developed in three directions. Pufu, you split a clone and go to the human world. The Ant King gave an order to the only guard who was currently capable of fighting. Seeing that Xiaoming seemed a little worried, he added, don't kill people at will. Especially don't kill innocent good people. Hearing this, Xiaoming was relieved. Pufu's strength was too strong and difficult to restrain. Even Xiaoming found it difficult to track him. He could create a nano-level clone. That level of clone would not be displayed at all on the scan map. It could only be seen by carefully distinguishing it with a circle, which was almost equivalent to invisibility. If he wanted to do something, Xiaoming would have no way to deal with him. The only thing that could limit him was the Ant King's order. Pufu bowed and saluted, "King, I want to follow you to the demon world first. When you recover your strength, I will send a clone to the human world. What do you think?" The Ant King has not recovered his strength yet. Yuppie is still in the absolute state. If Pufu clones now, his strength will be reduced again. What should we do if we encounter danger? As for whether the demon world is dangerous, can't you guess it by hearing the name? Of course, it is better to be cautious at the moment. Pufu is still at level B at this moment, but it is estimated that he will soon recover to level A. What they don't know now is that the classification of monsters in Yu Yu Hakusho is also divided into S, A, B, C, and other levels. It is just the same as the classification of the reincarnation space. If Pufu has recovered to level A at this time, the barrier will not allow him to pass. Of course, a special guy like Pufu cannot be stopped even with a barrier. If he makes more clones, the level will automatically drop. The barrier is useless to him. Soon, Miru M, Xiaoming, Yuppie, and Pufu passed through the barrier and came to the legendary demon world. When they just landed, they were all in the sky. Yuppie and Pufu opened their wings at the same time, and the Ant King hung himself under Pufu with his tail. This time Huang Xiaoming brought Xiaosheneng, and the hot-blooded Mu Jia transformed into huge wings, so flying was not a problem, so there was no need to bother Yuppie. At first glance in the sky, the demon world seemed to be a solid planet that was larger than Pangustar and had more spiritual power. There were seas and lands, mountains, rivers, lakes, forests, swamps, and plains and deserts on the planet. Animals were indispensable. But most of them looked very strange, and some beasts were also huge. There were obviously villages and towns similar to the human world. It seems that the monsters here also have a certain degree of civilization. The so-called space channel should be the connection between the human world and the demon world. Compared with the space gate from Pangustar to the Yanhuang 3-star system, it seems that there is no essential difference. But in reality, the demon world in Yu Yu Hakusho's world is far more than just a giant planet. Xiaoming used his mental power to scan the map, but he was unable to break through the atmosphere of this planet. This means that there is no so-called outer space in this world, and it is just this big. At the same time, this planet still has a certain degree of aura, which means that the indigenous people here should have some strength. The most important thing is that this planet is not the entire demon world at all, but just one layer of the demon world. Still not a very strong level. So how many levels are there in the real demon world? Even the most senior monsters in the demon world don't know much about this problem. There are at least 70 or 80 floors. And the planet is not the only state, various forms of demons emerge in endlessly. They'll find out later. The so-called human world is actually a world with the lowest energy level and the smallest number and quality of monsters. Or it may be more appropriately called a plane. If the demon world is the sea, the human world is just a layer of foam on the waves of the sea. There is no equivalent status to the demon world. The demon world can be described as a building. One floor is a level of demon world, which is just one plane. It's just that the elevator system between the various floors is a confusing mess. It is basically impossible to go up from the first floor to the second floor to the third floor, the fourth floor, and so on. What happens is that each floor has different passages leading to several other floors. When connected in series, it becomes extremely complicated. In the future, these will be difficulties that insect humans and chimera ants will have to deal with. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 758. The actual complexity is far more than that. These channels connecting different planes of the demon world are still undergoing various changes at all levels. Sometimes several new channels will appear, and sometimes several channels will collapse. Some channels can be connected for a long time, but some channels are opened regularly. The time between two openings may be a few days, a few months, or even hundreds or thousands of years. This is quite annoying. There are also some deep well ice channels. The opening time and location are not fixed at all, completely at will. Anyway, whoever is involved will be unlucky, lucky. The plane where Huang Xiaoming, Miru M, and others have landed is one of the planes with a relatively low energy level among the many planes in the demon world. Of course, it is not the lowest one. The luck of the Chimera ant can be said to be quite good. They have been used to death in the hunter world, and now it is almost time for their luck to change. If they fall into a plane with extremely high energy, they may be killed by the monsters that appear before they can recover their strength. But if it is a demonic plane with too low energy, it will not be good for the initial development. Xiaoming has already scanned this plane, and the strongest ones are just a few B-level masters, and they are all in a semi-retired state. The really active ones, who seem to have occupied the mountain, are almost all sea-level guys. In addition, although there are not many high-end combat forces here, the low-end biological species are very rich. Warcraft and small monsters are everywhere, and there are actually more than a dozen powerful humans. It is very suitable for the development of insect humans and chimera ants. After reporting this situation to Miru M, the four chose a relatively secluded hill to settle down. The first thing Xiaoming did was to take out the half of the life essence produced by Yuppie and Aryapfu, which belonged to the Ant King. Let the Ant King absorb it all. Boom, a strong momentum burst out from Miru M, and his telekinesis was improving at a speed that the naked eye could not catch up with. Finally, it stayed at the upper level of A level. Probably the level of Yuppie before. It seems that these life essences are not enough. But even so, the Ant King is very satisfied. After nearly a month without strength, it is really a little uncomfortable. Xiaoming is depressed. I don't know who is showing off his love every day, and dares to say that he is uncomfortable. Although the recovered combat power is far from his original level. But it won't be long before Miru M will be able to recover his original strength. Chimera ants, as long as they eat more delicious food. Neither Xiaoming nor the Chimera ants know how much opportunity Miru M has missed. In the original Hunter x Hunter, Miru M was seriously injured after a hardy battle with Netero. Soon after, he recovered by sucking the life essence of Yuppie and Poof. At that time, because he was too greedy, he almost sucked Yuppie and Poof dry. This perfect timing made Miru M, who recovered, even stronger, and he also learned many powerful new abilities without a teacher. This time is different. The recovery time was delayed for a while, and the best time has passed. The life essence that can be absorbed is less than 1/5 of that in the original book. Plus, the time of weakness is too long, so that this time the Ant King not only failed to make further progress, but also failed to recover his original strength. Not to mention any new abilities. This is all Xiaoming's fault. But then again, if the original book really developed, the Ant King and Yuppie and Pufa would be poisoned to death. In general, Xiaoming should be considered to have saved them. With an A-level master like the Ant King, safety is guaranteed. Pufa first followed the king's instructions and separated a C-level clone to fly to the human world. He left the B-level main body to continue to assist the Ant King. Huang Xiaoming also opened the Bright Summit and released the 500 chimeric ant eggs belonging to the Ant King, but not even one of the big trees in the demon world was full. There is no way, the demon world really has big trees. Although it is not as big as the melon tree of the elf clan or the holy tree of Pandora, it is really not small. The Ant King was looking forward to Xiaoming releasing Xiaomai, but Xiaoming did not do so. Ant King, feel the environment and air here carefully, Xiaoming said. It is not friendly to humans. Xiaomai will get sick within 2 days after coming out, and will die within 10 days. Miru M was shocked. He rarely thought of this and it was difficult for him to feel it. After all, the king's personal strength is there, and most of the environments are not harmful to him. When he was weak, he spent it in Guangmingding. Even if Xiaoming had deliberately reduced the concentration of spiritual energy in the area where the Chimera ants were located, the environment in Guangmingding was still very comfortable. Xiaomai and the Ant King kept their bodies well in there. So it is understandable that the Ant King could not think of the fragility of humans in the face of the environment. After hearing this news, Miru M was like a little boy in his first love, and he was completely panicked. What should I do? What should I do? Pufu, can you turn Xiaomei into one of our tribe? The Ant King asked Pufu with a 1 in 10,000 chance of hope. The butterfly man shook his head. The transformation method of the Chimera ants was too intense. Xiaomei's weak body could not bear it. Then, Miru M's rare gentle eyes turned to Xiaoming again. This time, he finally found the right person. Xiaoming's life essence can improve the quality of the human body from the lowest level, even Xiaomei can bear it. As long as there is time, she will definitely be able to be improved to the point where she can withstand the transformation of the Chimera ant. However, this improvement process starting from zero will take a long time. The young couple can naturally wait, so Huang Xiaoming also stayed here temporarily. By the way, he has nothing important to do at the moment, so it's okay to stay here temporarily, and he can also make the Ant King a big favor. Why not? Miru M entrusted all the development matters of the Chimera ant to Pufu. He took Xiaoming into Guangmingding to improve Xiaomei's physique. After a while, Yupi, who was in the absolute state, was also driven in by Pufu's body. When the strength is not good, it is safer in Guangmingding. Yupi also brought back a message that Pufu's clone flew back again. His luck was too bad, and the space channel when he came here was closed. Pufu had to find another way to go to the human world. Of course, this is not that difficult. Xiaoming himself is a space channel that connects in all directions. At this time, Yin Xiaoming has already arrived in the human world, and with the help of Guangmingding, Pufu's clone soon came to the human world. As for the rent of the channel, Xiaoming will ask Miru M for it when he has the chance. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 759. On the second day of Yu World, Xiaoming's reward can finally be used. According to the agreement, Xiaoming and Ant King each share half of the life essence contributed by Yupi and Pufu. However, the Ant King cannot use the life essence until the new world where the Chimera ants migrate is found. Of course you have to enjoy the reward after the matter is done. Therefore, it is logical that Xiaoming cannot enjoy it. Now the Chimera ants have settled down and the king has recovered. Only Xiaoming can truly enjoy this big meal. Even though Miru M can be eaten in one go, that's because he has a good foundation. Even if he eats it all, his strength will not be fully restored. Xiaoming doesn't have this ability. More importantly, Xiaoming also wants to see if others can use it. First, Xiaoming dropped some on the big cocoon formed by the insect king. There are so many, so don't worry about not having enough. Lu Xiaoming is in the evolutionary stage and has no sense of most things. Even though Nanaga had asked for all the muscles, blood vessels, and bones in his body, Lu Xiaoming couldn't react. However, when the cocoon absorbed these life essences, an indescribable sense of satisfaction filled Lu Xiaoming's soul. Huang Xiaoming and Yin Xiaoming also felt this magical feeling. It seems that every cell in the body is happy, singing, craving, and wanting more. Even aura fruits don't have this kind of allure. Xiaoming gave it as much as he could, and finally the big cocoon absorbed about 60% of it before he felt full. With this essence in the account, it is estimated that it will not take long for the evolution of the insect king to be completed. Since the effect was so good, Yin Xiaoming and Huang Xiaoming also tried to absorb a little, and it really had a moisturizing and strengthening effect on the body. However, it seems that there is another layer between them, and the effect is not as good as when the insect king absorbs it. This is also normal. After all, insect kings and chimera ants are closely related and are easier to digest. Xiaoming's other two bodies are both purely human, and their blood relationship is relatively distant. It is normal for the effect to be discounted. At the same time, Xiaoming felt that the energy of this pure life essence was too concentrated, n times more than his own life liquid. Ordinary people can't bear it at all. If they don't get enough, they will explode and die if they absorb even a little bit. Even if it is not exploded, there is still a high possibility that it will be infected by the life essence of this chimera ant and become a chimera ant. Genetically, they are unable to cope with such outsiders. That is to say, both Yin Xiaoming and Huang Xiaoming were strong enough, so their genes were not altered. In other words, Xiaoming's situation is special, and the genetic information about the chimeric ants can be diverted and received by Lu Xiaoming. In this case, this kind of thing is not suitable for Xiao Jing or Zhang Wen to absorb. In addition, Yin Xiaoming and Huang Xiaoming each absorbed less than 10%, and they both felt saturated. After resting and digesting for several hours, the physical attributes of the two bodies unexpectedly reached level 6 primary level. That is the realm of B-level masters. It jumped through many levels at once, and it was like a completely new look. The body is stronger than Lu Xiaoming's body before forming a cocoon. This shows how great the life essence that Yupi and Pufu produced in order to save the Ant King was. Xiaoming can absorb so much with his human body, and there are multiple sources that can play a role in it, which others cannot do. As for the remaining life essence, since humans couldn't use it, Xiaoming gave it all to Zhang Zhong to see what the effect was. He is already an A-level strongman and it is impossible to improve his level. It might be possible to master more skills. This also depends on Zhang Zhong's understanding. Later, Zhang Zhong indeed mastered an ability similar to Lord of the Flies. But it is quite different from the original version. It is impossible to clone to the nanoscale, the smallest one is the size of a pigeon. Moreover, the clone cannot be too far away from the main body. However, the benefits are very obvious. Zhang Zhong can usually reduce his strength and increase the carrying capacity of Guangmingding and Kunlun in disguise. This is also Zhang Zhong's interest. He also absorbed the remains of Catwoman, but did not learn any of Nephibit's skills. On the third day of traveling around the world, the telekinesis ability exerted on Yuppie by Nicolo lost its effect. Yuppie has returned to his PK level strength, and is on par with the current Miru M in terms of attributes. It seems that the 30 days of excellent condition have played a positive role in his recovery. With him around, both Xiaoming and Pufu feel much more at ease. On the 13th day of traveling around the world, the insect king Lu Xiaoming finally emerged from his cocoon. He also let out a long roar. The two other beautiful residents in Kunlun have been disliked for a long time, it is the female insect No 001 and the queen insect No 001. The physical attributes of the insect king's body finally managed to reach A level. That is the primary stage of level 7. Finally reborn. Although it is nothing compared to the Ant King, it is incomparable to the three great guards, and even compared to Nitro, it pales into insignificance. But this hard power is still very strong. At least she should be on par with Sister Hong Chao, an A-level zombie. At the same time, the genes of Pufu and Uppy were not wasted. Xiaoming inherited some of their abilities. For example, Xiaoming used to be able to use his telekinesis abilities condensation and UN to judge other people's thoughts, but it was difficult to be effective when facing experts. The other party's powerful life energy will interfere with Xiaoming's observation. Now that he has received some blessings from Pufu, he has become even more powerful in this regard. General A-level masters have already hidden their intentions in front of Xiaoming. In addition, Yuppie's genes give the Insect King a strong regenerative ability, and can also break through the limitations of the original body and change physical form. Like Yuppie, it is not a problem to change dozens of eyes and dozens of arms. What's more powerful is that Green Xiaoming can transform the body of the Insect King into a human appearance. In this way, he will no longer be regarded as a monster by others at a glance. Although the ninjutsu transformation technique can also play a similar role. But the transformation of ninjutsu is easy to detect. The current ability to change is instinctive, and the body after the change is the real body. There is no question of being detected. However, the change in appearance will not be too big, and Green Xiaoming's appearance is still Xiaoming's appearance. Transformation is not plastic surgery. Xiaoming is very eager for Pu Fu's ability to infinitely split and reorganize his body, but he has not been able to get it. If Xiaoming knew that Pu Fu had the ability to transform his clone into someone else, he would probably be more envious and jealous. But Pu Fu is very smart/cunning/thoughtful, and he was a little more cautious. His ability to impersonate almost anyone was unknown to Xiaoming and even Miru M. It's not that Pu Fu is not loyal to the king, but that the king is now obsessed with a human girl, and love lowers one's IQ. In order to be on the safe side, he had to keep a hand. It was also difficult for this Chimera Ant's military advisor. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 760. Guess what the first thing the Insect King will do after evolving? Miru M, Xiaomei, you two stop playing chess for a while. Hey, hello, okay, let's finish this game. Xiaomei's military strength is still so strong. No matter how Miru M improves, he has never won in front of Xiaomei. After the game, the Ant King was still not satisfied and wanted to play another game. Xiaomei followed her husband and wife and listened to her commander. Xiaoming was speechless about the couple and had to directly state his purpose. I can make Xiaomei see again. Can you play chess again later? These two heartless guys are open-minded. They don't care whether Xiaomei can see the light again. They actually started thinking. After playing 2 more military games, they flew over to Xiaoming hand in hand. It's not just about seeing the light again, it's time to strengthen Xiaomei girl's daily routine. Green Xiaoming first generated several pairs of eyes on himself for Miru M to choose from. Xiaoming had a good impression of Xiaomei, and she was also a key figure in the Battle of Dongguochuo. Without her, the Ant King would not change his attitude towards humans. Without her, President Netero would not have the opportunity to fight the Ant King alone. For the humans in the Hunter x Hunter world, Xiaomei has made great contributions. Although she herself was unaware. For this reason, Xiaoming also specially generated a pair of Sherinan and a pair of Byakugan. Miru M immediately saw the extraordinariness of these 2 pairs of eyes. He first communicated with Xiaoming, and then whispered to Xiaomei for a while, and Xiaomei decided to choose Byakugan. Byakugan does not look good at first glance, a bit like a human eye disease, cataracts. It does look worse, but its ability is still quite good. Although the Sherinan is not bad in actual combat, and the Mangekyo Sherinan is even more awesome, Xiaomei is not interested in fighting. Comparing the two, it may be true that Byakugan is more suitable for Xiaomei's personality. So the Insect King used the secret technique of the earthly blame you to install a pair of white eyes on Xiaomei. Xiaoming's products must be top-notch. This pair of white eyes is no longer driven by chakra, but can also be driven by spiritual power. The demon realm happens to be a place with abundant spiritual power. Xiaomei will not have to worry about not being able to use it. The little girl has never seen the light since she was born, and everything in the world is new to her. In addition, her body has been well taken care of by Xiaoming now. There will be no problem if she plays outside the demon realm for a day or 2. So Miru M took Xiaomei out to play. Even the military ceremony was not stopped. Xiaoming actually wanted to treat Xiaomei's blindness a long time ago. However, the only one who can perform the transplant surgery is the insect king of the earthly blame you. He must wait until he evolves successfully before he can start. Of course, Xiaoming's idea of transplanting white eyes to Xiaomei was a temporary idea. The original plan was for Yuppie to make the eyes, and then for Green Xiaoming to transplant them. Now that the Insect King has some of Yuppie's abilities, he is no longer needed. By the way, the eyes he made must be fierce. And he couldn't make a Sherinan or a Byakugan. As a result, Xiaomei chose a Byakugan. Really, it's not as good as Yuppie's eyes. If Xiaoming chooses for her, she will probably choose blue or green eyes. At present, the aesthetic trend of the new Han Kingdom is more favorable to blonde hair and blue eyes. Oh, forget it, Xiaomei herself does not have the so-called aesthetic concept of human society, and the Ant King happens to have no one either. It's fine as long as they like it, and it's not up to others to say anything. The one who was most dissatisfied with Xiaomei getting eyes was Aral Yapfu. He complained that Xiaoming was meddling in his affairs. How can I say this? In the past, when Xiaomei couldn't see anything, she could only hide in Guangmingding and play chess honestly, and the outside world had no attraction to her. Now that she can see, she naturally can't see enough. She doesn't want to go back to Guangmingding until it's time to go to bed. Miru M certainly wants to satisfy his lover's wish. Anyway, he can also run rampant in this demon world with his own strength, so he takes Xiaomei to travel everywhere. It is said that Yuppie will accompany the king to protect him, so the daily business of the Chimera ants will all fall on Pufu's shoulders. He is so tired that he has to do everything. That's not all. He must send an avatar to the Ant King. Including the avatar in the human world, he has to do the work of 3 people. And each one cannot be ignored. The most important thing is to protect the king, the second is the development of the Chimera ant colony. Although the intelligence work in the human world is ranked last, it cannot be ignored. In Pufu's view, with Xiaoming as an ally, the human world is also an important resource area for Chimera ants. Since Xiaoming was the scapegoat, Pufu asks Xiaoming for 2 groups of helpers without hesitation. The 500 Chimera ant eggs hanging on the tree began to hatch one after another. The ones that hatched in the early stage were ordinary Chimera ant soldiers. They are not strong and not many in number. They are mainly responsible for hunting food and building nests. For the safety of these soldiers, Pufu asks Xiaoming for a large number of puppets to protect a large area near the nest. The magic power of these puppets can only last for about 10 days, and then they will collapse. But by then, a large number of Chimera ants will have been born, so there is no need to worry about the safety of the nest. In addition, he asked for dozens of shadow clones, including 7 or 8 7-stars shadow clones. They will protect the safety of the Ant King. Miru M's strength really doesn't need protection, and these shadow clones are actually more like odd jobs. But Pufu insisted, Xiaoming couldn't do anything. Who said that this matter was really caused by him? Seeing Pufu so tired, Xiaoming felt a little sorry. Being involved in these trivial matters, his strength recovery speed has slowed down. Now Xiaomei still needs some life essence every day to strengthen his body. So the insect king Lu Xiaoming also went with him. It's the first time for us to come to the demon world, and it can be refreshing to visit. Anyway, there are more light bulbs around Miru M, such as Yuppie and Pufu's clones. After the battle with Dongguodo, Miru M's personality has also changed a lot. He no longer simply controls Yuppie and Pufu. The Ant King has begun to regard these 2 guards as his friends, so he doesn't care about them around. You know, when he was in the Dongguodo Palace, he not only did not allow the 3 guards to be around him, but he even felt uncomfortable when being sensed by Catwoman's circle. For a long time, the 3 guards could not get close, which allowed the expedition team to take advantage of the loophole. Now it's completely different. Moreover, he and Xiaomei are not worldly wise and don't know what a light bulb means. They never care how many viewers they have when they show off their love. Yuppie and Pufu don't care, as long as they can be by the king's side, they will still eat the love. As for Xiaoming, sigh, I won't say more.